started, I have a few notes that I just want to make sure that I go through and get to tonight. Like I said, I want to thank you for joining us for this affair with food. You wonder how we came up with the idea of food. I think food is like it's like a commonality. We all like to eat. And of course, a lot of us just got done with the holidays and usually eat a lot throughout the holidays. So that was kind of some of the things that generated this. We also wanted to put some kind of, what I would say is some thought-provoking ideas into people's minds about food and about how it relates to us and the things that we do with food. We eat obviously, but how we relate to it in terms of how it affects us in the world, how it affects us when we're meeting and working with groups of people and stuff. So let's talk about a few other things here. A little bit about the agenda. What we're going to do, like I said, I did a little introduction here. I introduced myself. We'll introduce the panel here in just a second. We are going to start off with a video to get you thinking through the day and the things that we're going to be doing there. After that, like I said, we'll have the panel speakers talking about some miscellaneous things. And then we'll have a feedback session. Now, if you take a look in your program, there's a spot for you to scribble notes in. So don't hesitate to scribble some notes in there and give us your feedback. Tell us if you like the things that you heard. Let us know so that we can continue as we continue on with this series. I think the other thing that I want you to also remember that this is something that we're going to be doing each month from now until April. We're starting with our panel discussion. We will have a cooking demonstration and some breakout sessions next month. And you can see the dates in your program. And then in April, we're going to have a named speaker come to campus. We're still kind of finalizing that. In March. And then in April, we're going to have our forensics team and our faculty doing some debating relative to food. So for that, let's move on. So the first thing I want to do is, like I said, this has been a great endeavor. This was the committee that we put together to put this speaker series, to get this speaker series going. You can see we got people from a lot of different places. Some of the people that were on the committee also graciously volunteered to be speakers in front of the group as well, too. Todd Culp, Ted Ferry, Bonnie Gable. Is Bonnie here in the crowd? All right, Bonnie, why don't you stand up? Todd Culp is up tonight. Marla, would you stand up? Wave to everybody. Jim is not available tonight. He's going to be teaching. Christina Haggerty up on stage. Ted Hazelgrove. Excellent. Matt Irie. And then, of course, thank you, Matt, and then myself. All right, and now let's go. These are our distinguished guests up on stage. Bev Dow, Dr. Bev Dow. You already met Dr. Todd Culp. Chef Thomas up on stage. Cheryl Zizek. And last but not least, Dawn Wagner is on stage as well, too. And now I'd like to get us kicked off. We're going to start with a video to get us going, and I'll just give a brief introduction to them. We're going to have a special talk from Mark Bitton. This video is What's Wrong with What We Eat. He's a New York Times food critic. In addition to writing the New York Times, Bittman has authored numerous books on food and cooking. In 2009, Bittman published Food Matters, discussing the topics of environmental change, lifestyle disease, and the overproduction and overconsumption of meats, simple carbohydrates, and junk food. We hope you'll find this short talk interesting and help us get us into the right mood to discuss food.
I write about food, I write about cooking, I take it quite seriously, but I'm here to talk about something that's become very important to me in the last year or two. It is about food, but it's not about cooking per se. I'm going to start with this picture of a beautiful cow. I'm not a vegetarian, this is the old Nixon line, right? But I still think that this may be this era's version of this. Now, that is only a little bit hyperbolic. And why do I say it? Because only once before has the fate of individual people and the fate of all of humanity been so intertwined. There was the bomb, and there's now. And where we go from here is going to determine not only the quality and the length of our individual lives, but whether if we could see the earth a century from now, we'd recognize it. It's a holocaust of a different kind, and hiding under our desks isn't going to help. Start with the notion that global warming is not only real, but dangerous. Since every scientist in the world now believes this, and even President Bush has seen the light or pretends to, we can take this as a given. Then hear this, please. After energy production, livestock is the second highest contributor to atmosphere-altering gases. Nearly 1/5 of all greenhouse gas is generated by livestock production, more than transportation. Now, you can make all the jokes you want about cow farts, but methane is 20 times more poisonous than CO2, and it's not just methane. Livestock is also one of the biggest culprits in land degradation, air and water pollution, water shortages, and loss of biodiversity. There's more. Like half the antibiotics in this country are not administered to people, but to animals. But lists like this become kind of numbing. So let me just say this. If you're progressive, if you're driving a Prius, or you're shopping green, or you're looking for organic, you should probably be a semi-vegetarian. Now, I'm no more anti-cattle than I am anti-Adam, but it's all in the way we use these things. There's another piece of the puzzle, which Ann Cooper talked about beautifully yesterday, and one you already know. There's no question, none, that so-called lifestyle diseases, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, some cancers, are diseases that are far more prevalent here than in anywhere in the rest of the world. And that's the direct result of eating a Western diet. Our demand for meat, dairy, and refined carbohydrates, the world consumes 1 billion cans or bottles of Coke a day. Our demand for these things, not our need, our want, drives us to consume way more calories than are good for us. And those calories are in foods that cause, not prevent, disease. Now, global warming was unforeseen. We didn't know that pollution did more than cause bad visibility. Maybe a few lung diseases here and there, but that's not such a big deal. The current health crisis, however, is a little more the work of the evil empire. We were assured that the more meat and dairy and poultry we ate, the healthier we'd be. No. Overconsumption of animals, and of course junk food, is the problem, along with our paltry consumption of plants. Now, there's no time to get into the benefits of eating plants here, but the evidence is that plants, and I want to make this clear, it's not the ingredients in plants, it's the plants. It's not the beta-carotene, it's the carrot. The evidence is very clear that plants promote health. This evidence is overwhelming at this point. You eat more plants, you eat less other stuff, you live longer. Not bad. But back to animals and junk food. What do they have in common? One, we don't need either of them for health. We don't need animal products, and we certainly don't need white bread or Coke. Two, both have been marketed heavily, creating unnatural demand. We're not born craving Whoppers or Skittles. Three, their production has been supported by government agencies at the expense of a more health and earth-friendly diet. Now, let's imagine a parallel. Let's pretend that our government supported an oil-based economy while discouraging more sustainable forms of energy, knowing all the while that the result would be pollution, war, and rising costs. Incredible, isn't it? Yet they do that, and they do this here. It's the same deal. The sad thing is, when it comes to diet, is that even when well-intentioned feds try to do right by us, they fail. Either they're outvoted by puppets of agribusiness, or they are puppets of agribusiness. So when the USDA finally acknowledged that it was plants rather than animals that made people healthy, they encouraged us, via their overly simplistic food pyramid, to eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, along with more carbs. What they didn't tell us is that some carbs are better than others, and that plants and whole grains should be supplanting meat and junk food. But industry lobbyists would never let that happen. And guess what? Half the people who develop the food pyramid have ties to agribusiness. So instead of substituting plants for animals, our swollen appetites simply became larger, and the most dangerous aspects of them remained unchanged. So-called low-fat diets, so-called low-carb diets, these are not solutions.